I would like to read a piece of an article published in June 2012 by Genocide Watch as an early genocide warning in Syria. Since 1970, Syria has been under the repressive rule of the al-Assad family regime and the Socialist Ba'ath Party. Political tensions have been caused by opposition ideologies of the ruling Alawite minority and the Sunni Muslim majority. Since the 80s, the Assad regime has become increasingly authoritarian and repressive. Torture and killing of opposition leaders has become policy. During the Arab Spring in 2011, which swept authoritarian regimes out of power across North Africa, pro-democracy protests began in Syria in early March. The eruption of mass anti-government protests began to spread throughout the country, which violent attacks on civilians by the al-Assad regime escalated in brutality as time passes. When Genocide Watch issued its genocide warning for Syria in February 2012, the High Commissioner for Human Rights reported the death toll exceeding 5,400. Today, this number is closer to 30,000. The cost of life rising by hundreds every single day. Thousands more have fled as refugees to neighboring countries like Turkey, Jordan, and Lebanon. Despite government attempts to cut off the internet, exclude reporters, and even to forbid the UN to investigate the Hula massacre, information on mass atrocities has been obtained from victims and witnesses by the UN Human Rights Council, Human Rights Watch, and the international press. The UN-supervised mission in Syria deployed 300 unarmed monitors to oversee a ceasefire that never took place. The UN-supervised mission in Syria has stood by and watched as civilians were slaughtered. The Hula massacre on May 25th and the Al-Qabar massacre on June 7th killed over 200 civilians, many of them women and children, many of them executed by gunshot wounds to the back of the head. Eyewitnesses have testified that the massacres were perpetrated by the Syrian army and Alawite militias. President Bashar claims terrorists are behind the country's armed uprising, but the UN Human Rights Council has condemned the Syrian government for committing the massacres. The evidence is now conclusive that the al-Assad regime is committing intentional crimes against humanity. More of the crimes the al-Assad regime is responsible for are indiscriminate, widespread attacks on civilians, arbitrary detention of thousands, rape of detainees, including children, widespread torture, including children, denial of food, including children, denial of medicines and other essential resources to civilians. The UN Security General Annan warns that Syria stands on the brink of a full-blown civil war. Speaking again from my own words, this is not a war or a racial genocide. It's a deliberate targeting of civilians and children in a sick attempt to sway the votes of the adults who have enough fear and enough age to vote. I do not want to be misunderstood. This is not about race or creed. It is about greed. So now that we have conclusive evidence that the al-Assad regime is deliberately targeting children, what are we going to do? Allow it to continue? Syria deserves to be free. It is important for America's interests to foster peace and offer friendship to those who seek freedom, because we are the people, the multitudes, and we must use our own hands to make this world into what we want it to be.